Keep your heads up, family, and your arms covered. We're going to get started with the verse of the day for Thursday, September 23rd, 2021. And it's Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. God first, family, straight up. And that goes with Matthew chapter 22, verse 36 through 40. Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. And that leads me right to 1 John 5. Whosoever believeth that Jesus is the Christ is born of God. And everyone that loveth him that begat loveth him also that is begotten of him. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. For whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world. And this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith. And Jesus Christ is the truth, and he'll never lie. And he said, There shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And that's exactly what's happening right now, family. As you can see, an M-class solar flare, which was almost an X-flare, from sunspot 2871 exploded today, producing a strong M3 class solar flare. And it's Earth-facing, and it will be hitting the Earth in a couple days, family. And it says right here that this M-class solar flare exploded today at 4:42 Universal Time. And when you go to Strong's Bible Concordance for 4:42, the definition is human, and the usage is belonging to human beings, especially as contrasted with God, human as contrasted with divine. And when you go to Hebrew, it's a place in the wilderness, and that reminds us of Revelation chapter 12. And when you go to Bible Strong's Concordance for Greek 2871, the definition is a cutting in pieces, slaughter. And when you go to Hebrew, the definition is a turban, like what the Taliban wears. And you can look up all these Strongs in the Bible Concordance, but we're going to skip right to sunspot 2875. When you go to Strong's in Greek, 2875, the definition is to cut off, strike, to mourn. And that brings us to Matthew chapter 24, verse 51. But we'll start at verse 44. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made him ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. And if that evil servant shall say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And that leads me to Luke chapter 21, verse 34. And take heed to yourselves, lest any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. It's Jesus Christ, the truth, the word, the rock, our foundation. And as you can see right here, these CMEs are producing auroras, gigantinormous auroras. And as you can see at the bottom, it says right there that there's a possibility for a CME impact today. And as you can see right here on Earth sky, yesterday, September 22nd, equinox, sun is over Earth's equator. And as you can see right here, it says moon, Aldebaran, and Pleiades, late night, September 25th through 27th. And that's right when the waning gibbous moon sweeps in front of the constellation Taurus the Bull. And when you go to hebcal.com for today, September 23rd, It's the third day of Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, Tishri 17, 717. But I think we all know by now, it's really the 6th month, Elul, right now. So if we're still here next month, October will really be Tishri. And depending on when the new moon is confirmed, the real Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot, should be starting very close to this casting down of Comet 342. But we're still in September, family, and we can't limit God. He can't be limited. He's almighty, omnipotent, omnipresent. He could come right now. And we just went past the harvest moon. And it was blood red in some places. And it was beautiful. Like right there in England. That is blood red. And this is a unique rapture alert, family. On September 27th, Mercury comes to a complete stop. And then is caught up right past the wheat and the barley, Spica. And I'm not saying it's the rapture, but it could be. And visually, it looks like it. And these are the last major signs in the woman that's by Spica, the wheat. All the way until 2026. And it's not even close in 2026. And I'll show you right now. And we'll go to Spica, the wheat and barley. And that's today, September 23rd. And when you zoom in on Spica, you can see that Mercury is right next to Spica right now. And I'll show you, September 27th, Mercury comes to a complete stop. And then shoots back up. Now we'll go back to today, and I'll walk you through it real quick. Bam, the catching away of Mercury. And after that, Comet 342, which looks like the dragon being cast down on 10/19, right there. October 18th, 19th. When you go through the hours, it goes past the line. Comet 342. In Strong's, 342 means renewal. And this comet never moved in history before. It was in Sagittarius, what people call Zeus, until right now. It just came out. And it goes back and never moves again. Now I'll take you back to today's date, September 23rd, and Spica and Mercury, and I'll show you that there's nothing even remotely close to these two double signs, the catching away and the casting down, all the way until 2026 with Venus. And as we go through the days, you can see Mercury is caught up. And here comes Comet 342 right next to the sun. And that's somewhere around 8:11, 7:11. Hebcow will say that it's Cheshvan, but we know that it'll really be Tishri. And when you go through the days, you can see Comet 342 right there on October 19th. When you go through the hours, Comet 342, which in Strong's means renewal. And I'll back it up. Here comes Comet 342 on October 16th. And when you go through the days, you can see Comet 342 cast down. Right there. Now I'll go back to Spica, the wheat and the barley. Today, Mercury and Spica's lined up. And when you go past that, Mercury's caught up. 342's cast down. Mercury goes back to her stomach. And nothing happens around Spica again. Until 2026, family, nothing major. I'll show you. Here's next year. Mercury does a loop around, a U-turn, not a stop and go. The sun and Venus just fly by, then Mercury flies by. There's no being caught up next to Spica. There's no being cast down next to Spica. And we'll go to the next year, 2023. And I'll show you. There went the moon. Here comes Mars. Mars just went right by. The sun, Mercury, everything's just going right by Spica. And I'll take you to the next year, 2024. Same thing, family. Venus just flies by. Mercury, the sun. Nothing, family. I'll show you. Nothing big happens until 2026. And it does not compare at all to this month. Venus comes down and makes a U-turn and loops back around and goes back up by Spica and loops back around. There's no complete stop. There's no catching away. There's no complete stop. Casting down. This time, this year, this month, right now, and next month does not happen again. So keep your heads up and your arms covered. It's super high watch time right now, family. The United Nations just had their 76th session of the General Assembly on September 21st. And as you can see right here, they called it peace and security. They just named the UN Assembly peace and safety. And it's written, and it's true. And when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So keep doing what Jesus Christ said. And he said to pray it always. It's Jesus Christ. He said, watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. See you with Jesus Christ, family.